The weight of silence pressed down on me like a physical thing. Days, weeks, months, they bled into each other, a monotonous expanse of empty pages and the hollow echo of my own thoughts. I was a ghost in my own life, haunting the skeletal remains of a once promising career. Raven. The name was a whisper in the breeze, a phantom limb that throbbed with a dull ache. We were two halves of a whole, inseparable until the day she vanished, leaving behind a gaping void where our shared world once existed. Now, I was a solitary puzzle piece, jagged and incomplete. A sharp rap at the door jolted me from the chasm. I hadn't expected visitors. With a sense of dread, I moved towards the door, my footsteps echoing in the otherwise silent apartment. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob. Who could possibly be seeking me out after all these years of seclusion? A flicker of hope ignited, then died as quickly as it had flared. It was probably a bill collector or, worse, a process server. I took a deep breath and turned the knob. The woman on the other side was a blur of auburn hair and wide, expectant eyes. She held out a thick, manila envelope. "For Alex Turner," she said, her voice a soft melody in the otherwise silent hallway. I took the envelope, my fingers tracing the unfamiliar script on the front. There was no return address, just a series of cryptic symbols that sent a shiver down my spine. A pang of unease replaced the initial indifference. Something about this woman, this package, felt off-kilter, like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. As I closed the door behind her, I examined the envelope more closely. It was heavy, as if it contained something more than paper. A cold dread crept into my chest. I had a premonition that my life was about to change, and not for the better. With trembling hands, I sliced open the flap and dumped the contents onto the kitchen table. A manuscript tumbled out, the pages thick and scented with a musky, unfamiliar aroma. My heart skipped a beat as I recognized the title, a twisted mirror image of the novel I'd been attempting to write before Raven disappeared. The manuscript was bound in a cover that was a macabre parody of my own handwriting. It was eerily similar, yet not quite right. I began to read, my eyes devouring the words that seemed to dance before me. The story unfolded in a whirlwind of vivid scenes, each more chilling than the last. It was as if Raven's ghost had taken over my thoughts, narrating a nightmare I hadn't even known existed. Her voice was there, whispering secrets that sent chills down my spine. The story within the manuscript told of a life intertwined with mine, yet vastly different. A life filled with shadows and whispers that I'd never known. It spoke of a twin who'd never truly left, who watched from the corners of the room, whose laughter echoed through the halls of our childhood home. It spoke of a twin who'd never stopped writing, whose words now taunted me from the pages. The room grew cold, the air thick with the scent of something otherworldly. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. Was it Raven's ghost? Or was it something else, something darker? The manuscript felt alive in my hands, a pulsing, malevolent force that whispered a truth I didn't want to hear. The walls of my reality began to crack, revealing a sinister tapestry of doubt and deceit. I threw the manuscript across the room, the pages fluttering like the wings of a dying bird. But the words remained etched in my mind, a haunting refrain that I couldn't shake. The line between truth and fiction grew blurrier with each passing moment. Was this a twisted game played by a sadistic fan, or was it a message from beyond the grave? The silence grew heavier, suffocating. I needed answers, but the more I searched, the more lost I became. The manuscript had unearthed a Pandora's box of memories and questions, and I couldn't ignore the siren call of its dark secrets. I knew I had to finish reading it, no matter the cost to my sanity. The manuscript had become my obsession, my lifeline to the twin I'd lost. I was Alex, the writer with a story to tell, but now, the story was telling me. And as the shadows grew longer and the whispers grew louder, I began to wonder if the manuscript was the key to finding Raven, or the doorway to a nightmare from which I'd never return. The days turned into a blur of reading and rereading, my eyes straining to discern the truth from the lies. The story within the pages grew more vivid, more real with each turn. It spoke of a twin who'd lived a double life, a twin who'd been watching, waiting. The words painted a picture of a twisted dance we performed, two souls bound by fate and a shared darkness. The apartment felt alive with her presence, the air charged with an energy that I hadn't felt since she'd been taken from me. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains, sent a shiver down my spine. Was she here, guiding my hand, urging me to unravel the mystery? Or was it something else, something that reveled in my fear and doubt? As the story unfolded, so did the whispers. They grew clearer, more insistent. They spoke of a pact made in blood, a bond that could never truly be broken. They spoke of a twin who'd never truly left, who'd been waiting for the perfect moment to claim her other half. And as the final pages grew near, I could feel her, right beside me, her breath hot on my neck, her voice a siren's call in my ear. The manuscript ended abruptly, the last page ripped from the binding. In its place was a single sheet of paper, stark white and unblemished. A chill gripped my heart as I read the words scrawled in crimson ink. Find me, Alex. Finish what you started. We are one. We always will be, Raven. The room grew colder, the whispers more insistent. I looked up from the page and into the mirror hanging over the fireplace. The reflection staring back at me wasn't my own. It was hers. Raven's eyes bore into mine, a twisted smile playing on her lips. And with a jolt of terror, I realized that the manuscript had been her all along, a part of her that had never truly disappeared. The story wasn't just about us, it was us. And now that I'd found her, she had no intention of letting me go. The whispers grew into a cacophony, drowning out the world around me. They echoed through the empty apartment, a symphony of my deepest fears and darkest secrets. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My throat was tight, my body paralyzed. The reflection in the mirror grew more solid, reaching out with a hand that seemed to stretch through the glass. The touch was cold, unyielding. It was as if she'd been trapped in the pages, and now she'd found a way to break free. Panic set in as her icy fingers closed around my wrist, pulling me closer. The room tilted, the floor giving way beneath me. Was I falling into the abyss of madness, or was I being drawn into her twisted world? With a desperate jerk, I pulled away from the mirror, tearing the manuscript from her grasp. The pages scattered across the floor, the gust from our struggle whipping through the room. The whispers grew silent, the apartment once again a tomb of solitude. But the cold lingered, a memento of her presence. I gathered the pages, my heart racing as I pieced together the shattered story. Each word was a clue, a breadcrumb leading me deeper into the labyrinth of our shared past. The manuscript had become a map to her soul, a treacherous path I had to navigate to understand what had truly happened that fateful night. I knew I couldn't do it alone. I needed help, someone to anchor me to reality before the lines blurred beyond recognition. I picked up the phone, my trembling hand dialing the number of the only person who might believe me, our childhood friend, Mark. His voice was a lifeline, a beacon in the dark. I told him everything, the words spilling out in a frantic rush. The manuscript, the whispers, the reflection that was somehow more real than the world around me. There was a pause on the line, the quiet hum of his disbelief. But then he spoke, his tone solemn. Alex, I'm coming over. We'll figure this out together. As I waited for Mark, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The shadows grew longer, more sinister, and the walls of the apartment closed in around me. The manuscript lay on the table, a silent threat. I knew what I had to do. I had to finish the story, to find the ending that had eluded us both for so long. The clock ticked away the moments, each second a heartbeat echoing in the stillness. But as I waited at the door, the reflection in the mirror caught my eye. Her smile was wider now, her eyes gleaming with a malicious triumph. And in that moment I understood. The manuscript wasn't just a story, it was a warning. A warning that she wasn't content to stay buried in the pages. Raven was back, and she wanted her life back, my life. And she'd do anything to get it. I slammed the manuscript shut and shoved it into a drawer, but the whispers continued, seeping through the wood like a malignant fog. They grew louder, more demanding. I had to get out of there, to escape her grasp before it was too late. My hand trembled as I picked up my phone to call Mark again, my voice shaking as I told him not to come. But the line was dead. A scream built in my chest, but I choked it down, knowing she'd feed on my fear. Instead, I took a deep breath and composed myself, searching for a way to end this nightmare. I needed a weapon, something to fight her with. My eyes fell on the half-empty bottle of whiskey on the counter. It wasn't much, but it was all I had. I grabbed it, the glass cold and comforting in my hand. It was a feeble defense against the specter of my twin, but it was something. The whispers grew to a crescendo, the room spinning as the shadows grew darker. The door to my apartment swung open, and Mark's form stumbled through, his eyes wide with shock. But it wasn't Mark, it was Raven, wearing his face like a grotesque mask. She stepped closer, her hand outstretched, her grip tightening around my heart. "Alex," she said, her voice a serpent's hiss, "it's time to come home." I backed away, the bottle of whiskey raised like a crucifix against a vampire. But she just laughed, the sound of knife twisting in my soul. "You can't escape me. We're bound, forever entwined. The more you resist, the stronger I become. Finish the story, Alex. It's the only way to set us both free." The room spun again, and suddenly, I was standing in the doorway of our childhood bedroom. The walls were papered with the same flowery pattern, the floorboards creaking beneath my feet. The whispers grew faint, the real world slipping away like a forgotten dream. I knew then that I had no choice but to dive back into the manuscript, to follow the breadcrumbs she'd left me. If I wanted to survive, I had to play her game. But this time, I'd be ready for her. I'd uncover the truth she'd hidden in the ink, and I'd use it to banish her for good. The whispers grew faint, replaced by the distant sound of a typewriter, the clacking of keys a heartbeat in the quiet. It was time to face the past, to confront the demon that had haunted me for so long. With a deep breath, I opened the drawer and picked up the manuscript, feeling its dark power pulse through me like a living thing. The pages whispered to me, the words swirling into focus. The story wasn't just a tale of two sisters, it was a battle for identity and survival. And as I read on, the lines between reality and fiction blurred even further. The whispers grew clearer, more insistent, guiding me through a maze of deceit and despair. The manuscript was a prison, but it was also a key. And as I turned the pages, I realized that the only way to break free was to face the darkest part of myself, to acknowledge the part of me that was Raven. We were one, bound by blood and a shared fate. The room grew colder, the air thick with anticipation. I could feel her, hovering just out of sight, watching, waiting. The whispers grew to a crescendo, and the room shifted again. I was standing in the moonlit clearing where she disappeared, the same place our nightmares had led us countless times. The manuscript fell from my hands, the pages fluttering away like leaves on the wind. It was time to confront the truth, to walk the final steps of our twisted dance. The whispers grew silent, and I knew she was there, waiting for me. I took a deep breath, the cold air burning my lungs. "Raven," I called into the night, my voice shaking with fear and anger. "I'm coming for you. And this time, I won't let you go without a fight." The shadows shifted, coalescing into a figure that stood before me. She looked like me, but her eyes were darker, her smile crueler. The reflection in the pond's surface rippled, revealing the truth beneath the surface. This wasn't the Raven I'd known. It was a twisted reflection of her, a creature born from the depths of obsession and despair. "Welcome, Alex," she purred, her voice a seduction wrapped in the sweetness of our shared memories. "You've always been so predictable, so eager to play the hero." "What do you want?" I demanded, my hand tightening around the whiskey bottle. The glass felt slick with sweat, the weight of it a comfort and a burden. "I want what's mine," she hissed, her features distorting. "I want to live again. And I will, through you. You're going to finish our story, the one you abandoned. You're going to make me real again." The whispers grew louder, swirling around us like a tornado of malice. I could feel her presence, her anger, her need for validation. She was a parasite, feeding off my fear and doubt. "No," I roared, the word a declaration of war. "Our story ends here. In reality, not in the pages of some twisted fantasy." The clearing grew brighter, the moon's glow piercing the veil of darkness. The figure before me wavered, the whispers becoming a disharmony of screams. The manuscript's pages floated around us like leaves in a storm, each one a fragment of our tortured past. With a growl of defiance, I smashed the bottle on the ground, the shards glinting in the moonlight. I grabbed a piece and held it to my wrist, the sharp edge pressing against my skin. "You want to live through me?" I shouted. "Then take this. Take my blood, my life, but you will never have my story." The shadows swarmed, enveloping me in a cold embrace. The screams grew louder, the pressure on my wrist increasing until I thought I'd collapse. But then, as suddenly as it had started, it all stopped. The whispers fell silent, the pressure lifted. When I opened my eyes, the clearing was empty, the pages of the manuscript scattered like the ashes of a forgotten fire. I stumbled back to the apartment, the weight of the encounter like a stone in my chest. Days turned into nights, the murmurs never fully fading. But with each passing moment, their power grew weaker, the grip on my sanity loosening. I wrote, filling page after page with the story she'd started, but it was my voice now, my truth. The manuscript grew, a tome of our shared existence, a testament to the love and pain that had bound us. And as I wrote, I felt her presence recede, the shadow of her influence fading into the background. One day, I reached the end, the final word a declaration of victory. The apartment was silent, the whispers gone. I turned the last page and stared at the empty space before me. Raven was gone, but so was the Alex who'd been lost in the abyss of grief and doubt. In her place stood a writer reborn, a survivor who'd stared into the void and found the strength to emerge on the other side. The manuscript was no longer a prison, but a bridge to understanding. A bridge between two worlds, two lives that had been torn apart by fate. I placed the final page on the table, the story complete. The whispers had led me to this moment, but it was my voice that had written the last chapter. The silence was a balm to my soul, a peace I hadn't felt in years. And in that quiet, as the dawn broke outside, I knew that I'd found myself again. The twin who'd haunted me had been a part of me all along, a piece of my soul that had never truly disappeared. The door to the apartment creaked open, and Mark's concerned face appeared in the doorway. His eyes searched mine, looking for the friend he'd known so long ago. "It's over," I said, my voice steady. "The story is finished." Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider subscribing to stay updated with our latest stories. Give us a like if you want to see more, and drop a comment below to let us know your thoughts.